Hey everybody, I'll give everybody a chance to get the notice that I'm going live. We're going to do a little earthquake update here. Got a large earthquake that is just struck over in the West Pacific. Not the Izu Ridge. I need to adjust that. That's the previous headline. Hold on. West Pacific, Philippines. Likely cause pretty serious. There it is. It is. It's 7.7, an 8.0 earthquake, guys. It's an 8 it's an upper 7 that just hit. The ringing of the bell, the ding of the bell. I'm glad I've gone live here.
7.0.
That's going to ding a lot up and down here as we get more reports that come in. There's likely a tsunami that's been created on this. It is right next to land. I'm going to get an update going here just in a second. You guys can go ahead and share the stream now if you don't mind. Get the stream out there now. I'll wait just a second for everybody to get the notices. I'm sure people are checking their earthquake apps right about now, or if not, in the next few minutes. Yeah, it's a big one, guys. It really is, so no exaggeration on that. We'll go, let's just hang tight here for just like one more minute. I'll get everything queued up. I'm going to play my intro, hit record just in case the stream goes down, that kind of stuff. Hello. I'm going to skip all the formalities this morning, guys. We have a big earthquake which has struck in the West Pacific. Today is the 2nd of December, 2023. It's Saturday here in the States. Been up all night with my viewers, but this is a big earthquake. We need to get a display capture turned on. If you guys know anybody over in Philippines, they're likely going to be talking about this for a while. The big one. So let's go ahead and go look it up. Let's go first show you the spot. It first came in the 6 range, in the upper 6, then up by a full magnitude, up to 7.7 to 7.8. It started at 6.8. Some agencies will have it at the mid-range 7 level. There will be likely some localized tsunami warnings with this. I'm just taking a guess. USGS does have the little wave icon over on their page. Of a bell while we're on here, and you may also hear a siren sound. That siren is to let me know to wake up. It's just built into Earthquake 3D. I have that in there, so don't be alarmed if you hear a siren and a bell. That's agency reports on this. Every time they adjust the earthquake, it will either go up or down in magnitude, of course, when they recalculate based upon different stations. So we'll just wait for that. Now let's go check the tsunami page from USG. This is NOAA now from. They have it as tsunami threat. They actually have a tsunami threat on this. So let's see what they're saying. Let's go check the text reports here. Okay, down below. Well, let's see. Here would be our first statement. Preliminary 7.7. That may go up or down. Based on all available data, there is, they say, no tsunami threat to American Samoa. Okay. This is the American Samoa report. This is what we're going to actually get for the next few minutes, most likely, are reports around the area where the U.S. has assets. So we're not going to get the Philippines reports directly yet. There is no tsunami danger for the U.S. West Coast or British Columbia. Okay, I mean, this is kind of like a no Sherlock moment kind of thing. I'll skip the bad word in there, you know what I mean. So we'll wait to see what we get on the tsunami.gov. However, we can go over and check NOAA, the NDBC buoys. And what we're going to do here is go look to see if there are buoys in motion in the West Pacific. We might not even have any active over here, but I'm guessing we do. Yeah, okay. So we have two that are in motion now, two buoys that are in motion from the wave motion of the earthquake hitting the ocean floor, coming up that cable. They're moored to the sea floor. And so let's just go see what that disturbance looked like. Well, wow. Okay, well, you know what? You can see the little red disturbance on there. We can click on it and just see it a little bit bigger. Now, this is in meters over on the left-hand side, but you got to take into account we're talking about points on a meter. So it looks like next to the quake, instant, this would be the shock wave that would be picked up, that would spread out to the nearest buoys nearby. We'll have to wait to see what the tsunami threat is. They do, like I said, have a tsunami threat issued, but I don't see a notice on the tsunami.gov page for the threat. Let's go back and just click on that some more and we got to click around to see. So tsunami threat, potential threat for the Philippines. View bulletin by clicking on the breakpoint marker. Am I missing something? Okay, so it's not listed yet. Clickable, I mean. So, like, you click it here, you can hear me clicking it. It says click the breakpoint marker. You click it, it's not giving it to you. I'll just tell you right now, on a quake this size, on a 7.5 to 7.7, I would expect some kind of localized tsunamis around the area a few hundred kilometers out. So we need to go measure a few hundred kilometers out from here. Just so in case you guys know anybody in the area, you could still have time to potentially warn them, because a tsunami in the ocean travels at about the speed of a jetliner. So you might still have time to warn somebody in the region, maybe not next to the quake, because it already has been several minutes. But this is a large quake. We'll get into the earthquake forecast and what we were looking for this week with the magnetic disturbance that happened today with the magnetosphere and the arrival of the solar storm. And this fits with the forecast fully, guys, if you didn't catch my forecast for this week. But first, let's just go look out about, let's just say about 500 kilometers or so. Now, to do that, we have a key down in the lower corner. And you can see I'm moving my mouse around. It's about a 100-kilometer key. And so we're going all the way up to, we're looking at about North Philippines, North Central Philippines, as far east as Palau, and as far south as North Indonesia. We have to actually tell the people in there to be on watch for actual wave activity to show up on this. Just for the next hour or so, like I said, speed of a jetliner is what this wave would be traveling at out in the ocean. Once it gets on land, the water pulls back, the wave slows down, picks up, and you get your typical tsunami that comes roaring in after the wave comes back into shore. Again, it pulls back out, and you see those shoreline shots where all the water's gone. All that water then back onto land, that's your tsunami. And so this is a big deal. This is the biggest earthquake in many months for the whole planet. They have it at 7.5, could be up to 7.8. Started at 7.7. Actually, it started in the 6 range and then went up into the 7. So it was a many-minute long fracture. Let's just put it this way. It started at 6, out at 7, likely is still doing stuff now there for the people in Philippines. This likely caused devastating damage in the area of South Philippines. So let's just look for the nearest. Oh, well, I mean, come on. Look, we're only how many miles from Davao City? They likely felt it all the way down across the whole southern part of Philippines. Any nearby cities would likely have some pretty serious problems going on right about now. I just want to zoom in and see. Sorry, guys, I'm on a slow connection. So it looks like there's a lot of farming going on in this area. That's good. The nearest large city looks like it's about 50 miles away. So we're talking about up here. What's this town? I don't have town names on, or maybe they're not populating yet because, again, I'm on a very slow connection. It takes minutes for names to load. But you can see the general area. We need to get into what we talked about watching for this week. One more time, there is a tsunami warning issued. Let's just hit refresh on this, a tsunami threat. Tsunami threat is something that we have to pay attention to. Let's click on... Let's see. Preliminary earthquake parameters. We're talking about each government is going to be responsible. Estimated times of arrival. Okay, they do have ETAs on arrival of a wave now. Okay, so this is good to see. We can actually get some info on this. Hazardous tsunami waves from this earthquake are possible within 1,000 kilometers of the epicenter. 1,000 kilometers of the epicenter, guys. Okay, we need to double what I was just looking at. I thought 500. Professionals are saying 1,000. So we're talking about 1,000-kilometer range. Our key is down here in the lower corner, so 300, 900, 1,000. We're talking far north Philippines. We're talking as far east as Palau or Colonia, these islands over in the southeast Ridge Mariana Trench. We're also talking about down into Indonesia, down here along the coast. So that's a pretty big deal to get 1,000-kilometer. Don't confuse kilometers and miles. Still, it's a big deal. Let's go back to the National Data Buoy Center and just see if buoys that are going to register this vibration that's going to spread out. You'll see a lot of buoys light up even before a wave ever shows up. Okay, all right. Let's go ahead and change the headline on my live stream. It started at 6.8, guys. That's where we started. So it broke and then went up to 7.7. So that's a big break. It probably went. That's a big quake. That's why they've got this 1,000-kilometer tsunami warning going. All right, so again, sorry you had to see my chat room there, but this is live. So getting back to it now, let's just go back in and zoom in one more time before you go any further. 1,000 kilometers to the north, 1,000 kilometers to the south. That puts us North Philippines, South Philippines, into Indonesia for the tsunami threat. Let's go to the buoy center, see what's going on. Look, we have actually spread on the buoys. So there were 2 before, now there's 3. Notice the buoy that's all the way down here at Papua New Guinea, which is 2,000 kilometers away, is moving. Now that's a physical impossibility for the ocean wave to get there that far. I mean, that's a given. So the buoy that's in motion at Papua New Guinea is in motion because of the seismic wave that's traveling through the plate. Probably start to move the buoys all the way around the whole edge of the Pacific, as far north as Kamchatka and as far south as north of New Sea. All the buoys light up and start to move with a bunch of motion. But that motion, again, is the seismic wave. Earthquake forecasting, it's well established. I've put out the method for everybody to copy and repeat. If you would like to copy and repeat the method, there's no secret to this. We're talking about watching for mid-range 7 to upper 7 to return after many months of this. And it was all timed with this big M-class flare that just happened. If you go watch my updates from the past 2 days, you need to look for this. And we were watching over here in the West Pacific. However, the spot that I was watching was right here. So looking for a big break to take place happens in conjunction with the solar storm that's arriving and compressing the magnetostat. If you're paying attention to that, you saw that take place on the Bureau of Meteorology from Australia monitor, for instance, if you're watching that kind of stuff with the space weather. But that gets us into earthquakes and the connection between solar. Now, other than to tell you that when you have big Earth-facing solar storms, charged particles and strong solar wind that comes towards Earth, when it finally gets... So if you're just now tuning in, the largest earthquake of the year, or if not for the year, certainly in many months, struck in the West Pacific here with a pretty significant tsunami warning issue, that tsunami threat. We'll see what actually pans out on that. In South Philippines, likely devastating damage along the coast, since this is literally right along the coast. Let me zoom in and show you. So whether or not it's on land or on the coast matters for wave activity, but you can get plate movement even a few miles away, like an uplift, or maybe even it goes down, but usually the uplift is what causes a lot of tsunami activity. You can also get landslides underwater that can cause tsunami activity, but in this case, 1,000 kilometers, that's from actual plate shifting. Speaking of plate shifting, let's go check the USGS site and go show you what we're talking about with the plate shifting. Well, hold on. Let me get a USGS page open here first, if we can even do that. Okay, everybody's weighing in on this quake. Oh, check it out. I'm in. We've got Geophone Potsdam out of Europe, and then, of course, here's the USGS page. Okay, so here's USGS page. What I want to open is their plate boundary map, and this is going to show us a bunch of red lines that define the latest earthquakes and where they are in relation to the plates. So the red lines are the plate boundaries, and the big earthquake is marked here in a big red dot, so you can't miss it. This is the Pacific Plate. Everybody's familiar and heard of it before. The Indo-Australian Plate that makes up India and Australia. Over on the east side, there's North America, Laurentia, the whole continent, and there's South America, etc. Now, on the west side, over here, we were looking for a big increase to take place. On these quakes is somewhat equidistantly spaced, like there's some kind of wave spreading out across the area to begin with. These all struck first, the orange color, new 7 point whatever's, mid-range 7 to upper 7, striking here along this red line, the red line of the plate boundary. Now you'll notice the red line goes up to the north and connects into just south of Taiwan, and then it goes further to the north, connects to Japan, and then beyond into Alaska and over to the United States. Now this flows like a river, but it doesn't just flow up and over to the U.S. It flows over and across. Think of a wave trying to escape out of this area, and it's going to follow these red lines like a river almost. So the seismic disturbances taking place is happening down below all of this first. Then it comes up. When it comes up, we see it smack into the surface, and we get a shallower, large earthquake at the surface. But that's just the start of the process. Then we see the wave spread out and drop significant sized earthquakes. Not as big as the original splash in the pond, although it does spread out and it leaves significant sized earthquakes along the way. This is going to be over the next several days as this disturbance spreads out. It's not that this 7 is going to be causing other earthquakes spreading out. It's that there's a wave that's spreading through the whole area, dropping off this big 7 along the way. And it will dissipate as it goes out, but it won't be much of a dissipation. It won't go down to zeros and ones. The wave spreads out and drops off significant sized quakes all the way around the planet when we get a disturbance like this. And that's what we told you to look for a few days ago, telling you to watch for the return to upper 7s to low 8s. And here we are. So whether it's 7.5, 7.6, 7.4, it started out at 6.8. Then 3 minutes later, new earthquake gets reported in, but it's really the same quake, and it's gone up to 7.6. So it really started at 6.8, then peaked out at 7.6. That's a big quake, even though it's not going into the 8 level directly. It's, again, I'm impressed at the size of the quake. However, we're not going to be impressed at the amount of damage that gets reported out of this area. The only good news is that it is in a somewhat rural area. There's no very large city right next to the earthquake epicenter. Let's, again, see just how close the nearest town is, because, again, there's going to be a lot of people that the construction over here, a lot of it is, of course, surface-based. It doesn't have a lot of foundational structure to it. So if it's a kind of a shanty or a lean-to or whatever you want to call these small structures that are made out of, tin roof type structures. I'm not, dissing their structures. I'm just saying there's a lot of, low-end structures when it comes to quality of construction for withstanding a large earthquake. The good news is that most of the stuff that would be up high wouldn't be multi-story buildings unless it is an urban area. Like this town here, most likely a lot of the buildings would be pretty seriously damaged in this town that's next to where the quake is. So that town there, let's get the town name. Do we even have a town name on here? I thought I had my town names turned on. Let's everything on. Didagon? I can't. That might be the name of the place. Diatagon. I'm butchering the way that's pronounced. Forgive me, and then right along the coast in here, any of the small communities would, of course, people would be in serious situation right about now. But you can get the idea. So we're talking landslides in these areas can happen. We can get a lot of mudslides, landslides, a lot of displacement of surface, big cracks in the ground, fissures form in the ground, surface fissure fracturing that results. Now, actually, let's get back to the USGS map really quick, because the surface fissure fracturing is due to the plate boundary shifting, and that's the red line that I'm showing you here. This thing starts to shift north-south, or northwest-southeast, or up or down. You get tearing at the surface, and that's your czar. I would be looking for video in the next few days to come out of the area that's pretty impressive. Might take a day, But then again, this is the information age. A lot of people are connected on satellite and battery banks and that kind of stuff. So we might get video out of this almost immediately. But the likely is pretty serious damage going on down there. Okay, let's go back and quickly take a look at the U.S. Tsunami Warning Centers again. Just see if they still have the threat level up. Yeah, they do. They still have it at purple. Now, threat, not a warning. The difference is nerd level. Well, and physical level. So it's kind of like the difference between a tornado be out there. A tsunami warning is there is a tsunami detected. Somebody's either out there in a boat, or they have somebody that's in between land, or it's actually made landfall and people are reporting it on radio or on other means. That then goes into a warning level when they really do have a legit measured tsunami. Right now they're going on some movement on the buoys, and that's about it. The buoys are pretty far away from the earthquake, so that's why we're at a threat level. We're not at a warning level. Red is warning, threat is like right below. Or if you think of it like severe weather, you've got orange severe weather marked on the radar, and you've got red on the radar. And the difference between the two can be minuscule, but it can also matter a lot, depending on how damaging things are. All right, so we're just waiting to see, and I'll keep going here until they update the tsunami threat, whether or not they take it up or down. So we might be on here for a minute or two as we continue to talk about the large earthquake, which is struck in the West Pacific here at Philippines. It is the large earthquake we're looking for, and I don't want to get too controversial or anything like that, not trying to self-promote. I just have to tell everybody who's new, we issued the warnings for this, telling everybody to be on watch for this. Oh, I did a Christmas special earlier this morning. Anyway, to be serious now, over here on the 29th, we're talking about it. I'm not on the 29th here. On my lives, so here I am, and here I am. So on my lives, I've been talking about this for the last day and a half, 2 days, about the increase that's going to be taking place. And we brought up the solar activity, talked about that yesterday with all my viewers, told everybody to get ready for this. So again, I'm not bragging. I really have to tell people that we warned everybody, and we want you to be prepared. So you need to listen when someone warns you. And if not me, it's just the facts. It's just there's a magnetic storm going on. There's deep earthquakes going on down below the area, and it's getting ready to come up and spread up out and away from where the deep earthquakes are. Okay. I want everybody to understand that. You can check my community page, and you can look for that. See. Okay. Here I am talking about the solar storm 10 hours ago. And here we are talking about the spread going on in the West Pacific, going over and being absorbed into Asia. Let's get back to the large quake, 7.6. It looks like we have a subsequent earthquake, 5.6. I would expect a bunch of aftershock activity. However, this aftershock is about 20 miles, looks like, east out in the ocean. Oh, wow. Okay, hey, now check this out. The new 5.6 that just struck out in the ocean. I want you to look at this three-dimensionally, like looking down on it. And then this 5.6 is either further down below or up above. Let's see. Up above it. So 7.6 down below, and then up above it, more towards the surface, we get a 5.6 out in the ocean. Now, why does that matter? Let's go back to the red line. Look what's out in the ocean. Remember, the earthquake started right next to land. You see it there marked in blue. Let's zoom in some more. So now, out in the ocean, up at the surface, or more towards the surface, at 10 km depth is what they have it at, that we get a new 5.6. So something goes on down below, then many, many minutes later, out on the plate boundary, up above, break. I guarantee it. It's a break on the surface or very close. Down below it, I mean, a few kilometers down below. So it's coming up. The break started down below, and the break has reached all the way out and up to the plate boundary. That's a big earthquake. They may even bring it up. They might even elevate the magnitude on this because of this right here, actually, because it spread all the way out and up in the matter of minutes. What's the difference? Let's see, what's our times on this? 1437 on the big quake and 1500. 30 minutes. Well, 23 minutes. So 23 minutes of breaking going on. I would bet that there's just continual rumbling going on around the area as people are wondering what's going on, right? And that would be the breaks, all the smaller earthquakes that I'm not getting in this feed. I don't have the Philippines feed turned on, but if we could see it, I would bet it would be a line of earthquakes going from the 7 out to the plate boundary and up to this new 5.6. Just a bet, just a guess, not that it matters. So back to it, if you're just now tuning in, biggest earthquake it looks like in many months for the whole planet. assuming it stays where it is. If they take it up anymore, it certainly will be the biggest on the planet. So in many months. And it's right next to where the other big earthquake struck this past week, and the big volcanic blast that you may or may not have heard about. This was the biggest on the planet, the blast at Ulawan volcano here last week. 60,000 foot high blast, FL 600. Then it dissipated out to 50 and 40,000 as it spread out. But that was the biggest volcanic blast of the year. Then sevens struck. That was again this past week. We're over here at Philippines. Sevens struck 2 weeks ago in Philippines as well, but not nearly as big as this. This is bigger than what struck Philippines several weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, when the devastating earthquake struck just next to this down to the south on the plate boundary. So I'm just surprised to see this. Everybody always is just surprised to see a big earthquake, but when you issue a forecast for it, the surprise goes away quick when you take into account the other factors. So while it is a big quake, I want everybody to remember, do not be scared. Even for the people who are there and may be listening or may listen to this later, in the future, don't be scared. Be prepared. Now, how can you be prepared for a large quake like this? Well, it's kind of like a storm. If you know a hurricane's coming, you know to batten down the hatches. So we knew several days ago that there was going to be a new seismic storm coming up, as I explained in my videos over the past 2 days. Now here we are, we're in the midst of the storm. So in the future, don't be scared, being prepared. How do you be prepared? Pay attention to the weather. The seismic weather, I mean. And once you know what's coming your way, which we knew it was coming this way, to the West Pacific, to the tip of the West Pacific no less, it was a no-brainer on there's a large blast that's gone on here at Papua New Guinea. Several volcanoes popping off from Papua New Guinea all the way over to Krakatau, as I talked about yesterday. A spread going up to Japan, and an expected break somewhere between there with the deep quakes. So that really reduced down our area to watch for large earthquake activity in the West Pacific. Now, I have a warning that expires in 2 days or less, 36 hours. The warning for South America expires. And what are we looking for over here? We're looking for about the same size as what's striking over here. So when I issued the warning 6 days ago for South America here, we have not seen the large earthquake yet at Panama. That's the only thing missing now from this week's forecast. A new 6.0 earthquake has just struck along with this. Let's go take a look and see. A 6 has now struck in between or next to the 5.7. Look at that. We are breaking on the plate boundary now. Let's get a measurement on that. 5.9. Yep. 6 minutes later, guys. At 15:06 UTC, we now have a 5.9 to 6 striking on that red line plate boundary. So a new earthquake breaking in there on top of the others. Let's just go take a look. USGS doesn't have it yet, guys. But there we go. They have a 5.3 out there. They're going to have to get this new one on there. What it looks like is going on here is a big break happened down below in the plate, along the plate at South Philippines. It's now spread up to the red line, and it's going down to the south. The break. And how do I know it's going down to the south? Take a look where it is. You can see it. It's checked off there. So, break down below, then coming up, then going down to the south. This is phenomenal to see real time. I'm glad you guys get to see this. So, we don't normally get to see the break go out, up, and over all in the same few minutes. Normally it might take a few days you might see this go on, where it comes up and goes out across the plate as the aftershocks take place. So for it all to be going on real time like this, that's a big break that just took place, and now it's spreading. So I'm guessing the people in the area are probably right about now a little bit freaked out, because it's going to be a series of long-term shaking events that have been going on for the past several minutes. As the first break happened at 6.8, then it went on for 3 minutes, peaked out at 7.5, and then here we are, and we're breaking 50 miles out off the coast, which they're going to feel that as well on land. And that would all be combined, one consecutive after the other as the breaks are taking place. I'm just guessing the people are probably standing out in the streets right now. This is a number one reason why you need to have, my chair almost just fell over there. Number one reason why you need to have an emergency kit Because whether you stay inside or go outside, overseas they tell people to go outside because of the construction being prone to collapse. In the United States, it's stop, drop, cover, and hold on. That's from the USGS. Pretty catchy, and it's easy to remember. It's actually good advice. But whether you stop, drop, cover, and hold on, or whether you run outside, you're going to need an emergency kit at some point if the power's out. Change of clothes, set of shoes, flashlight, batteries, first aid kit, and sanitation. Those are just the bare minimums, and then food and water and all that other stuff. Basics that need to be in a bag that you can grab at a moment's notice if you do have to go outside, or after the earthquake when the power's out and there's no running water and you have at least bare supplies for a day or two to either get out of the area or to shelter in place until something gets fixed, or so at least a situation gets solved. Okay, let's recap. So, big earthquake hit, tsunami threat issued, which is different than a warning. We have to stress that the tsunami warnings are different than threats. Threat statements are, we keep a watch for it, basically. It's different than a watch, though. So advisory threat, this is like on the highest level of right below, I consider a warning would be the threat. Or maybe I've got it backwards. Or people want to tell me in chat, do I have it backwards? Is it the warning is we're just going to watch for it, and the threat is that it's imminently hitting? Because if I've got that backwards, I don't think I've got that backwards. I think I've got that right. The warning is, a tsunami warning is issued when a tsunami with potential to generate widespread inundation is imminent, expected, or occurring. And a tsunami threat is a message issued to national authorities when a tsunami may affect. Yeah, I got it right. I second guess myself all the time. It's always good to second guess yourself on stuff like this if you don't have that right there in front of you. Okay, so yeah, we're good on that. Okay, now let's go back and take a look. 1,000 kilometers. The good news on this is that it stayed in the purple level. It hasn't gone to full red. Let's go over and look at the buoys and hit refresh on the National Data Buoy Center and just check the buoys, see which ones are in event mode, see if it's spread. It sure has spread. And again, it's spread much further and much quicker than you can expect a jetliner to spread. That's not a physical wave going all the way out here to where this northeast Saipan has felt the seismic wave come out that far. Look at this. Now, it looks like a big disturbance there, right? The big red, but if you look at it in meters, it's 0.62 to 0.64. Another way to look at that is like it's points on a tenth of a meter that this is a wave, a seismic wave, that comes along the seafloor, gets picked up at the mooring, at the seafloor that's set into the bedrock, and then comes up the wire, and the seismic equipment in the top of the buoy detects the wave, the actual earthquake. So it spreads out. You may even see this spread out across the whole Pacific. Even though it's not a Pacific-wide tsunami, it's detected on the perimeter of the plate out many thousands of miles more than any kind of wave could ever go. So just remember that when you're looking at the buoys here. Now, when you get in close to the epicenter, really close to the epicenter, like this closest buoy here I'll click on, we'll go look at the vent details there, and you'll see we're now talking about going from 0.1 to 0.2 meters out in the ocean. It's not just a single centimeter or something. So we got a little bit more of a disturbance on the buoy there, but no wave. So I'm just guessing. This is a guess on my part. I'll tell you it's a guess, and we can compare to what the professionals do here in the next few minutes. But after looking at that and seeing that there's not a huge wave going out in one direction, the only spot we would then watch is on land. And if there's nothing huge that's hit on land, then we would take this from threat down to watch. Right? If I was working there or something, right? I don't, so I'll just tell you, we'll keep watch, and I'm sure there's localized tsunamis where water pulls back almost immediately after the earthquake, and all the locals there will know what that means, and they usually hightail it out of there. They don't stick around to go do the photo opportunity thing like people on the West Coast, or if the tsunami was coming into Los Angeles or something. You would imagine everybody's standing there with their phones, and in this case, many of the people know immediately when there's a big earthquake, not even to go check the ocean. They just start heading for higher ground to the tsunami warning area. We've seen that many times, and that's good to know. People are prepared for that over in Philippines. One more time, if you're just now tuning in, the biggest earthquake in many, many months for the whole planet has struck. It's generated a tsunami threat, which is one step below the tsunamis being visible on screen. I'm not going to jump on Twitter or whatever it's called now. And we're not going to be trying to pull other people's videos. I don't show disaster videos on my channel anyways. This is the forecasting channel. We look for things ahead of time, not after. I'll say much love to everybody who's there. I've got a lot of viewers in the Philippines. Many of them probably were not caught too off guard by this. This goes back to the large eruptions and the other things going on in the area that if you're paying attention, you know to have your go bag ready by the door and to maybe have a set of shoes by the side of the bed. So if you feel that first incoming 6 as this thing started, you can then still have time to grab your belongings or grab your emergency kit, put on those shoes and run outside like they do in the Philippines. Go outside and make it outside before the full hit of the 7.5 to 7.7 hits. So I could imagine that was pretty wild to have it break. You start feeling shaking, starts getting more intense. Then the first big hit hits. That's the 6.8. Then the second big tops out at 7.5, a full magnitude larger. That's like 100 times more power to go from 6.8 up to 7.8. Okay, so we'll get a U.S. update and everything else out, but I just want to save this as a video so everybody can see that this struck. There's our large earthquake in the West Pacific for this week. This past week, we were looking for this to strike, and we're down to the last day on that. And tomorrow is the last day of the watch. Well, 36 hours. 36 hours from now is the last day of the watch for over here. And I'm looking for near 7.0, 6.9, 7.0 level to strike here. Panama is where I've got the warning. If in 36 hours it does not hit, we will slightly shift the area to Venezuela for 1 day. And if it doesn't hit by there, it's a full flop for me. I'll get on, I'll beat myself up. We'll try to figure out where the energy went like a true forecaster does. By the way, that's more than any meteorological forecaster does when they don't get the full forecast right. Do they ever come back on and talk about how that wrong they got it and where they're going back to? I'm just saying, like, keeping it real. Earthquake forecasting is more accurate than hurricane forecasting, the way we have it right now. Down to about 200 miles, down to a region certainly, down to within the magnitude, and down to a 7-day time period, which is very good to start out at in this day and age with a newly budding science. Okay, so final point on this one more time. We're going to remind you, you need to have an earthquake plan. You need to know what to do when a quake strikes. This is simple. Take shelter underneath a table or a desk. Because if you try to run outside, you may be running into worse situations than if you are inside. Inside, it might just be falling drywall and plaster. Outside, it could be falling facades. It could be serious, serious problems. So just be ready for that, okay? Let's go over and check YouTube, see how things are going over on YouTube. Check into the chat room. Looks like there have been a few people that have given to my stream. New members. Members for several months. That's D.A., I don't know how to pronounce that. Nicole, Mark J., Janine the Queen, thank you for the super chat. Anybody else in here who wants to super chat, you can. I appreciate it. It does support my operation. I don't ever ask for it. I probably should. I should probably start out my update. Hey, YouTube, what's crack-a-lackin'? Make sure to hit the like and bell. I don't know. It's earthquake stuff. It's serious. We can't be... Come on, YouTube. What's cracking? Okay, anyway. All right. Old man Dutch. All right, you guys, be safe. Much love. Let's hit save on this. Save this as a video. I will be back on if anything else significant strikes. I'm going to go brew some coffee right now. It's going to be a long day. The solar storm hit yesterday. So we're not done yet. This is day one of it going to ground. People asking in chat, how is a solar storm related? Oh, boy. Well, I don't know what to tell you there. I really don't know what to tell you there. How is a solar storm related to earthquakes? Oh, wait, did our stream just get shut off? I can't tell if the stream's off or not. But I'll tell you quickly. Earthquakes are related to solar storms in that there are charged particles that come from the sun on the solar wind. Think of it like Earth's magnetic field is spinning like a pinwheel in space, powered or pushed by the solar wind. And a strong solar wind comes in, and it has a lot of charged particles in it, it's like a hurricane. Strong winds on their own stink, but when there's rain mixed in, it's like a brick wall hitting you. And the same could be said for the charged particles, dense charged particles, proton density in the solar wind. When it hits Earth, you get the northern lights and southern lights. You get the auroras, the borealis, the air glow. Everybody's familiar with it up north. Sometimes it's very powerful and it can come down over North America, the northern lights can, and over Europe and Siberia. Those northern lights are electric. It's just straight up electricity up in the upper ionosphere, glowing. It's so much. It causes air glow in the upper ionosphere. It's the charged particles from the sun causing that electric. But that electric is made by the charged particles scuffing their feet across the carpet of the atmosphere. So just like when you scuff your feet across the carpet on a dry day, you pick up, well, actually free, electrons, and there's a differential, and you go touch something, and lightning zaps out or goes into you, depending on what's stripped out or put into you. And the same could be said for the charged particles. The charged particles are scuffing their feet across the carpet of the atmosphere, basic friction. And that charge builds up in layers in the atmosphere. And those layers you can actually start to see with the northern lights, for instance. But all that electricity then just goes away. But it doesn't just go away. It gets absorbed by the Earth's magnetic field and taken down to the core. When that happens, and it goes down to the core, within a short period of time after the arrival of all this energy, we start to see shallow, large earthquakes and deep earthquakes down below them. And that's exactly what's going on now. So we went back up by a full magnitude from 6 to up to 7, mid-range to upper 7, in a matter of a day after the arrival of the solar event. And it was just an M9 class flare. It was not even an X class flare. It was just Earth-directed, perfectly aimed, major charged particles heading towards Earth, and then they go down to the core. When they go down to the core, they come back up. They get reflected back up off the plasma core. Crazy process. I had to figure this all out myself. This isn't in any book. I've been fighting tooth and nail with every professional. I don't care. It's right. I guess they're just going to have to get on board at some point. It's asking a bit much. I won't hold my breath. Yeah, this guy on YouTube said no professional ever. Okay, have a good morning, afternoon, evening, or night. But we don't care about the professionals. They will eventually come along because these are facts about what I'm telling you. Stuff we had to figure out along the way, as everybody said, none of this was related to anything. Yeah. Definitely, people in chat are like, yeah, right, yeah, sure. Like I said, I'm going to get my coffee. We'll be around all day long. Now, let's not joke around, guys. Let's not joke around. Now, for real, listen to me, everybody. How many people are in here? 3,400 people. Philippines just got destroyed in South Philippines. Legit. Major damage. If you know anybody there, I don't even know if you'll be able to get a hold of them. In South Philippines, it's probably just, you can't get a hold of them. But, you know, I don't have any charities to share or anything like that yet. But there likely will be need for one. So this isn't good. This isn't, you know, something people should be like, oh, you know, I love watching big earthquakes. There's people in chat that are all jazzed about it. No, I'm not happy about my earthquake forecasting coming to fruition. I wish I was wrong. I don't like having to get on and talk about it. Telling people I warned them. Who likes doing that? Well, some Karens like doing that, but I'm not Karen. No, it's devastating, and to see it happen like this. But as I told you guys yesterday, this is the season for earthquakes, which there are 3 times a year that there are earthquake season: winter solstice, spring equinox, and the middle of summer, right around like the 4th of July, end of June. And it has nothing to do with the seasons. This is how all the professionals missed it when they went to go study, are there earthquake seasons? They went to go look to see if there was 4-season connection. Spring, summer, fall and winter. Well, fall is just a human construct. It's when the leaves die on the trees and the fruit's ripe. Turns out there's just 3 times of the year. When the earth is tilted one way, when the earth is tilted the other, and halfway through the process. And that tends to be right down to spring equinox, down to the day, like March 11th, like Japan's big earthquake. And then we go all the way across to the middle of winter, which is right now, from now till Christmas. From the start of December till Christmas. And then right smack in the middle of the summer, 4th of July, like the big 7.0 earthquake that hit in California on the 4th of July. 3 times a year, earthquake season. So here we are. We are in earthquake season, and it is in the West Pacific, as usual. This is not out of the ordinary. The good news is we're in the 7 range. If there's any more solar, we will take the next step up. Earth-facing solar activity. We start seeing a bunch of M, as in magnetic, or X-class flares facing Earth, and there's strong solar wind associated with that. Strong coronal holes, too. We see that, and we see a strong solar wind with charged particles coming at us. That will increase things from where we are now. And it's like turning up the dial on an amplifier. Okay? All right. I'd appreciate it if you would share this. Will you please share this? Share my stream, share my earthquake information if you don't mind. I don't normally ask for the shares or anything like that, but it's been a rough go of it for me, to say the least. And I stand behind the method. If you would like to test the method, you're skeptical of earthquake forecasting or something, you're welcome to test the method. It's on my channel. There's 2 explanatory videos, plus it's in text for you to test and repeat the method yourself. It's actually fairly simple once you understand just the basics on it, standing waves and a few other things. But we have average people, people who are not even really too much into seismic that can do it. Also teenagers and some teachers that are teaching it to their classes at an elementary school level already, in private school. It's still a feud in the public domain with the professionals because they all said it was impossible. They went out on a limb and said all kinds of personal statements about me. We have top professionals saying stuff, USGS coming after me publicly by name, and a few other bad things happened that have precluded the professionals from being able to be involved in this. So there is a reason the professionals are not involved with this right now, and that's because they said none of it was possible, and they called me a fraud for trying to do it publicly. While I was doing the research, the USGS came out and said it was impossible to forecast earthquakes, and any claims made by me, they named me out by name, are false. I had to write the USGS to get them to remove their slanderous, libelous statements from their social media page that referenced me by name. And this is when I was doing the research. They were trying to stop top professors, everybody, trying to stop my seismic research, literally threatening me with jail, threatening me with punishment, taking my fundraisers away, taking my channel away. And they did all that to try to stop me while I was doing the research publicly in front of a live audience. Why did they do that? Because they all said it was not possible and put it on record and writing. And then I came along and showed it was. And I'm a high school graduate who's not part of the club. Putting it mildly. Can I get a cheers and an amen to that, class? And on that note, we're saving this video and getting on out of here. Have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, so forth. Peace.